Anya Sharma's Digital Blueprint for Financial Mastery, Chapter 1, The Lure of the Instant. Anya Sharma lived in a world of immediate gratification. Her office, a sleek co-working space high above the city, hummed with the electric energy of creation and consumption. As a leading digital marketing strategist, Anya orchestrated campaigns that trended, content that went viral, and brands that exploded overnight. Her clients, a mix of ambitious startups and established corporations, paid handsomely for her Midas touch. Anya, in turn, spent handsomely. Designer clothes, spontaneous luxury travel, the latest tech gadgets. Her life mirrored the fast-paced, high-octane digital landscape she so expertly navigated. Money flowed in and money flowed out, an exhilarating, seemingly endless current. She was successful by all outward metrics. She commanded respect, her name whispered in awe at industry conferences. Yet, beneath the veneer of success, a subtle unease gnawed at her. It was a faint, almost imperceptible tremor, like a minor bug in a perfectly coded website, easily overlooked but potentially catastrophic. Her apartment, a minimalist triumph of glass and chrome, offered panoramic views of the city lights that glittered like scattered diamonds. One crisp Monday morning, while sipping artisanal coffee, Anya scrolled through her bank statements. The numbers were impressive, large deposits from recent triumphs. But then, the outgoing transactions, equally large, almost as frequent. Her savings account, meant to be her financial fortress, remained stubbornly meager, barely enough to cover a few months of her lavish expenses. A flicker of anxiety, sharper this time, pierced her usual calm. She dismissed it with a shake of her head. More clients, more campaigns, she muttered, convincing herself that her unparalleled ability to generate income would always outpace any financial fragility. The digital realm had taught her speed, agility, and the art of the pivot. Why should her personal finances be any different? She believed in momentum, in riding the wave of success. Long-term planning felt slow, archaic, a relic from an era before broadband and blockchain. Chapter 2. The Echo of Uncertainty. The tremor became an earthquake. It started with Project Phoenix, a monumental campaign for a promising tech startup. Anya had poured her heart and soul into it, envisioning it as her magnum opus. The launch was flawless, the initial metrics astronomical. But then, the startup CEO, embroiled in a sudden scandal, imploded. Funding evaporated, the company folded. And with it, Anya's final, substantial payment. The contract had a clause, a legal labyrinth she'd glossed over in her excitement, which now meant the unpaid portion was simply gone. Her immediate reaction was shock, then anger, then a cold, creeping fear. Her buffer, already thin, was now threadbare. Simultaneously, a wave of economic uncertainty swept through the tech sector. Clients became cautious, projects were delayed, and the steady stream of high-paying contracts slowed to a trickle. One evening, as she stared at a looming credit card bill that seemed to mock her past extravagance, Anya felt a profound sense of vulnerability. She was a digital goddess, capable of shaping online narratives, yet utterly powerless over her own financial narrative. The sleek apartment suddenly felt like a gilded cage. Her friends, many of whom worked in stable corporate jobs, spoke of mortgages, retirement plans, and investment portfolios. Anya, despite earning significantly more, had none of that. She lived, as the old adage went, paycheck to paycheck, but with a particularly high-stakes digital age twist. The fear intensified when her beloved vintage car, a symbol of her impulsive purchases, broke down with an astronomical repair estimate. Her emergency fund, a concept she had always considered optional, was non-existent. She was trapped in the very dynamic world she prided herself on mastering, but without a solid foundation beneath her feet. Chapter 3. A Seed of Wisdom. Desperation, sometimes, is the most potent catalyst for change. Anya found herself attending a local business development workshop, less out of genuine interest and more out of a vague hope of finding new clients. The speaker was an unassuming man with kind eyes and a quiet demeanor, a stark contrast to the flamboyant tech gurus Anya usually encountered. His name was Elias Vance, a retired financial analyst who now volunteered his time mentoring small business owners on sustainable growth. Elias spoke not of viral trends or immediate ROI, but of patience, compounding, and the often unseen power of consistent, incremental effort. He used metaphors Anya understood. "Your financial future is like SEO," he said, his voice soft but firm. "It requires consistent optimization, understanding algorithms, and building backlinks, or in our case, diversified assets, over time. You can't just launch a campaign and expect perpetual ranking without ongoing work." Initially, Anya was skeptical. Her digital marketer's brain was wired for speed, not the slow burn Elias. But as Elias detailed stories of entrepreneurs who built empires on steady foundations and others who crashed spectacularly despite initial brilliance, Anya saw echoes of her own precarious situation. She approached him after the workshop, her usual confident stride replaced by a tentative shuffle. "Mr. Vance," she began, "I'm Anya Sharma. I'm a digital marketing strategist, and I think I've built a magnificent castle, but it's sitting on quicksand." Elias smiled, a knowing glint in his eye. "A common ailment, Anya," he replied. "Many brilliant minds excel at creation, but neglect the critical infrastructure. But the good news is, you've recognized the problem. That's the first and often hardest step." He offered to meet her for coffee, not as a client, but as a mentor. Chapter 4. Decoding the Financial Matrix. Their first meeting was not about investments, but about introspection. Elias encouraged Anya to apply her analytical skills, usually reserved for dissecting market trends and consumer behavior, to her own finances. "Think of your income and expenses as data streams, Anya," he advised. "You track clicks, conversions, and bounce rates for your clients. Now track your own money flow with the same rigor." He introduced her the concept of a financial audit, not just a budget, but a deep dive into where every dollar came from and where it went. Anya, armed with spreadsheets and a newfound determination, began the arduous task. She meticulously categorized every transaction, from her morning latte to her monthly software subscriptions, using a budgeting app she would have previously dismissed as overly simplistic. What she discovered was unsettling. Her spending patterns were erratic, impulsive, and heavily influenced by her mood and her social circle. She was subscribing to multiple services she barely used, eating out far too often, and making significant impulse purchases that brought fleeting joy but no lasting value. "It's like I'm running 1,000 ad campaigns without setting any KPIs," she confessed to Elias during their next meeting, a wry smile touching her lips. Elias nodded. "Precisely. You need to define your key financial indicators. What is your net worth? What is your monthly cash flow? What are your savings rate and your debt-to-income ratio? These are your new metrics for success." He then guided her to establish an emergency fund, starting with a small, achievable goal of 3 months' living expenses. This felt like building the absolute basic firewall for her digital empire, a critical step she'd always overlooked. Chapter 5. The Power of the Pixel-Perfect Budget. Anya approached budgeting with the strategic intensity of launching a major ad campaign. She dubbed her Pixel-Perfect Budget. She segmented her spending into categories, just as she segmented her target audiences: needs, wants, and investments. She started A/B testing her spending habits. Could she reduce her daily coffee shop expenditure by making coffee at home 3 times a week? What was the ROI of that expensive gym membership she rarely used versus a more affordable community center? She identified conversion leaks, areas where money was slipping away without her conscious awareness. Subscription traps, emotional spending, and convenience fees became her new targets for optimization. It wasn't easy. The initial weeks felt restrictive, a stark contrast to her previous free spending lifestyle. There were moments of frustration, moments where she longed for the instant gratification of a new gadget or a spontaneous weekend getaway. But Elias reminded her, Delayed gratification, Anya, is the ultimate long-term ROI. It's the difference between chasing fleeting trends and building an evergreen asset. She began to see her savings account not as a deprivation, but as a growth fund, a secure server for her future self. She set up automated transfers, treating her savings goal like an unbreakable appointment in her digital calendar. Her emergency fund slowly grew, a tangible representation of her newfound discipline. Each dollar saved was a small victory, a pixel added to her financial masterpiece, steadily rendering a clearer picture of security and potential. Chapter 6. Investing in the Future Funnel. With a solid emergency fund in place and her budget optimized, Elias deemed Anya ready for the next level, investing. Think of your investments as a meticulously crafted sales funnel, Anya, he explained. You put in effort at the top, your capital, and with strategic placement and consistent nurturing, it converts into future wealth. Anya, a master of funnel optimization, grasped the concept immediately. But the world of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds felt opaque, a labyrinth without clear algorithms. Elias patiently demystified it, starting with the basics of diversification. Never put all your eggs in one digital basket, he warned, echoing a timeless financial adage, but giving it a modern twist that resonated with Anya. Just as you wouldn't rely on a single ad platform, don't rely on a single asset class. He guided her through understanding her risk tolerance. As someone who thrived on high-risk, high-reward digital campaigns, Anya initially leaned towards volatile, high-growth stocks. But Elias helped her temper that instinct with a long-term perspective. The market isn't a viral tweet, Anya, he said. It's a redwood forest. Growth is slow, steady, and incredibly resilient if you give it time and proper care. They discussed index funds, ETFs, and the power of compound interest, a concept Anya found particularly fascinating, comparing it to the exponential reach of a perfectly optimized content strategy. She began to allocate a portion of her income to a diversified portfolio, understanding that this was not about quick wins, but about building a sustainable, wealth-generating engine that would work for her while she continued to innovate in her digital career. Chapter 7. Navigating the Algorithmic Market. Anya's investment journey was not a smooth upward curve, much like the unpredictable world of digital trends. There were market downturns, moments of panic when her portfolio value dipped. Her old instincts, honed by the instant feedback loops of social media metrics, screamed at her to react, to sell, to pivot. But the market algorithms are complex, Anya. Short-term fluctuations are noise. Focus on the long-term data, the underlying fundamentals. She learned to ride out the volatility, to dollar-cost average by continuing her regular contributions regardless of market performance. She researched companies with the same intensity she used to analyze competitor strategies, looking for strong foundations and innovative leadership rather than just hype. She began to apply A/B testing to her financial education, reading various investment philosophies, attending webinars, and consuming financial news with a critical eye, just as she would evaluate different ad copy or landing page designs. She learned to identify financial clickbait, get-rich-quick schemes that promised unrealistic returns. The process taught her patience, resilience, and a deeper understanding of economic cycles. Her digital marketer's edge, once confined to creating viral content, now extended to identifying undervalued assets and understanding market psychology. She realized that truly mastering a dynamic world meant not just moving fast, but also understanding when to hold steady, when to strategically allocate resources, and when to patiently wait for the long-term results of a well-executed plan. Chapter 8. Diversification in the Digital Domain. As Anya's financial foundation strengthened, so did her professional confidence. She realized that true financial freedom wasn't just about accumulating wealth, but about diversifying her income streams, just as she diversified her investment portfolio. Her digital marketing skills were immensely valuable, and she began to leverage them to create passive income opportunities. She developed and launched an online course on advanced SEO strategies, earning royalties from each sale. She started a niche blog, monetizing it through affiliate marketing and advertising, turning her expertise into an additional revenue stream. She even began consulting selectively for smaller businesses, charging premium rates for her specialized knowledge, freeing her from the need to constantly chase large demanding clients. This diversification wasn't just about money, it was about agency. It gave her the freedom to choose projects she was passionate about rather than being dictated by financial necessity. She could experiment, innovate, and even take calculated risks in her career, knowing her financial base was secure. She started viewing her skills as digital assets that could be packaged, scaled, and leveraged in multiple ways. Her entrepreneurial spirit, once focused solely on client success, now fueled her personal wealth-building journey. She became a living testament to the idea that one's professional edge could be amplified into a robust financial ecosystem, creating multiple channels for prosperity. Chapter 9. The Mindset Shift, from Scarcity to Abundance Analytics. The most profound change in Anya wasn't in her bank balance, but in her mindset. The constant undercurrent of anxiety that had once defined her relationship with money was replaced by a sense of calm and control. She no longer saw money as something to be chased and instantly spent, but as a tool for creating opportunities, security, and ultimately freedom. She developed an abundance analytics approach, not just counting what she had, but appreciating the opportunities it afforded her. She practiced gratitude, not just for her successes, but for the discipline and wisdom she had gained. Her conversations shifted from comparing herself to peers who made more to discussing financial strategies with Elias and other like-minded individuals. She began to view financial challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as data points requiring optimization. A sudden unexpected expense was no longer a catastrophe, but a stress test for her emergency fund, an opportunity to refine her budget further. The limiting beliefs she once held, that money was complicated, that it was only for certain types of people, that she couldn't manage it, had been systematically dismantled. She realized that her digital marketer's mind, with its penchant for data, strategy, and continuous improvement, was perfectly suited for financial mastery. She no longer felt like a successful professional living paycheck to paycheck, but a financially empowered individual charting her own course. Chapter 10. Mentorship and Amplification. Years passed. Anya Sharma, now a revered figure in both digital marketing and a growing community of financially savvy professionals, found herself in Elias Vance's shoes. She started offering informal workshops, sharing her journey and her pixel-perfect budget framework with other creatives, freelancers, and entrepreneurs who, like her past self, were brilliant at their craft but struggled with financial foundations. She used her marketing acumen to make financial literacy engaging, accessible, and even exciting, translating complex investment concepts into relatable digital metaphors. Her workshops were oversubscribed, her blog posts on financial independence went viral, and her online course on financial funnel optimization for creatives became an industry benchmark. She saw the ripple effect of her transformation. Friends who had once scoffed at her budgeting obsession now sought her advice. Junior colleagues, inspired by her story, began their own journeys towards financial autonomy. Security. Anya realized that her digital marketer's edge was not just about building financial foundations for herself, but about amplifying that wisdom to others. She created a community, a network of support where people could openly discuss money, share strategies, and celebrate their financial wins. Her life was no longer defined by the chase for the next big client or the fleeting thrill of a trending campaign. It was defined by purpose, security, and the profound satisfaction of helping others navigate the dynamic world with a strong, unshakable financial blueprint of their own. Epilogue. The Evergreen Empire. At 42, Anya Sharma stood on the balcony of her tastefully renovated, fully owned home, far from the city's frantic pulse. She looked out at a serene landscape, a testament to choices made not for instant gratification, but for enduring value. Her investments had grown significantly, providing a comfortable passive income that afforded her the freedom to pursue passion projects, consulting for nonprofits, writing a book on ethical AI in marketing, and spending more time with her family. Her digital agency, now managed by a trusted team, thrived, a testament to the robust systems she had implemented. Elias Vance, now in his early 80s, remained a cherished friend and occasional advisor, beaming with pride at her journey. Anya often reflected on her past self, the young strategist chasing the next viral hit, oblivious to the cracks in her financial foundation. She had learned that true edge in a dynamic world wasn't about outrunning uncertainty, but about building resilience, about cultivating wisdom, and about consistently investing in the long term. Her digital blueprint for financial mastery had not only secured her own future, but had illuminated the path for countless others, proving that even in the most fluid and fast-paced environments, a well-built foundation could lead to an evergreen empire rich in both wealth and purpose. Moral of the story. In the dynamic and fast-paced world, true financial mastery comes not from chasing instant gains, but from applying strategic discipline, analytical rigor, and long-term vision to build a robust financial foundation. Like a perfectly optimized digital campaign, consistent effort, smart diversification, and a growth mindset are essential for converting fleeting income into lasting wealth and freedom. Embrace delayed gratification, leverage your unique skills to diversify income, and cultivate a mindset of abundance to navigate uncertainty with confidence and purpose.